With what felt like an entire millennium past as we beat Chapter 1, we can finally move on to Chapter 2. Learning from my mistakes from the last chapter, I take the arena more carefully and I only fully advance Quan throughout all of its stages, whilst everyone else just quits while they're ahead. As Quan finishes the arena, we unlock Holan, but sadly, he has Pursuit, and so, who the hell cares? But anyway, we have to ensure our units are in peak form so that we can rescue Latches in time. And the faster we save her, the more likely it is we can keep one of her 3 knights alive for later use. En route to Nordion, Deirdre and Ethlin have a neat little conversation, where Deirdre attempts to buy herself into the family using a light brand. Suffice to say, she is successful, because the light brand is so valuable that it even gets passed down to Leif in Thracia. Just something to think about. The first of Latches' knights is having a really bad day, and is almost dead on turn 3. God, I love green units that can die regardless of how fast you are because of bad RNG. They're definitely my favourite cargo trope. Nourish makes a dramatic entrance as he aura farms by one-shotting a weakened axe cab with a crit. Ethlin moves in to heal one of the injured of Latches' knights whose name I can't pronounce, and Quan and Lex manage to plant themselves quite comfortably into enemy territory. Another turn passes and all 3 of Nordion's knights actually survive. Not something I expected considering the playthrough. But hey, I'm not complaining. Lex 2-shots Elliot with the Brave Axe, and the threat to Castle Nordion is mostly neutralised with all 3 knights surviving. We talk with Latches and effectively have gained our charm bot, but I don't care much about her right now, because we have to push for the next castle so that we can rescue the remaining villagers. Since, let's just say, we didn't make much money in the last chapter, and so, we'll have to make up for it here. Lex makes fast blood with the next batch of enemies, and Do wastes no time in rizzing up the Huz, as he gives Latches a thief sword that she will never use. We try 1v1 the mini-boss with Lex, but an unlucky Pavice stops us from getting both hits from the Brave Axe. But Quan is genuinely the realest homie that anybody could ever ask for, as he clutches up against the boss with an Adept proc, meaning we now have preemptively deprived the enemy of their leadership stars. Our army is basically split into 2 at this point. Quan, Ethlin and Lex are all off to claim the next castle, whereas everyone else plus the Latches defense force is basically just doing their best to clean up. It's worth knowing that we're only able to slip past the enemy and beeline to the next castle thanks to Latches' knights, so kudos to them. Deirdre sets up a perfect kill using her literal Uratome, only for Noish to ruin the moment by proccing a level which he only gets HP in. But no, he's good for some reason. All the comments tell me so. Noish proceeds to beat a woman, and Lex, Quan and Ethlin begin their siege of the next enemy castle. It's worth knowing that we can't even waste a single turn with how strict the timing for the bargain band is. But I'm not too fussed on whether or not I get it. But I think it'll be a cool flex, so I'm trying for it anyway. Quan is 1v1ing the boss to little success, and villagers scream en masse as they have their houses razed by bandits. Lex further helps deal with the armor surrounding the castle, and Quan tags out for Ethlin, who has a much better time with the boss. On the enemy phase, the boss realises that Ethlin's way out of his league, and he then aims for Lex, only to miss a 76% and get hit by 2 44s. I'd say this is pretty good recompense for the Provice hit from earlier. We rush forward as Sigurd takes a turn to reach the next castle. We probably won't make it in time for the Bargain Ring village, judging by how we had to keep Sigurd out of danger's reach for the sake of this challenge. But hey, at least we'll get the Night Ring from having all 3 of Latches' knights survive. We seize the castle a turn later, and we then unlock Finn's Bravelands conversation. Although unlocking this seems redundant if we can't use the man himself, let's not forget that the Bravelands is freely tradable, meaning, if we give this thing to Quan, he can stop one-rounding every single enemy that he comes across that isn't a boss. New enemies spawn in at the next castle, the land squad guarding the enemy borders flee at the sight of Quan, and we now have access to Lewin, our first magic user that we can actually use. Oh, and Sylvia too, the game's dancer. She can regenerate up to 4 units per turn, or something. It's no big deal. Now I could do what every FE tuber does and start glazing Sylvia about how much of a game changer she is, but I have more important questions at hand. Are you seriously telling me that Sylvia and Lewin were just chilling, watching these villagers get routed out and systemically killed, and they only show up and decide to get work done once we seize the castle? Gameplay wise, it's meant to make you rush towards the next enemy, I know. But what the hell are they doing in canon? These guys are canonical pieces of crap, and nothing can convince me otherwise. That aside, Lewin procs a crit on his first round of combat, so all is forgiven, and him and Sylvia start rushing to the villages. We give up on the bargain band, but at least we can get the maximum amount of money from the rest of these guys. In the meantime, Lex proceeds to one round a promoted Duke Knight with the Brave Axe, because he's just that guy, and he also gets a pretty good level out of it too. Oh right, he's also promoted. I think I forgot to mention that, but yeah, promoted Lex in chapter 2 goes hard. Our promoted Ethlin also follows suit, and proceeds to proc a crit and one-shot a Lance Cav. Yeah, this game gets real easy once you have a few early game units promoted. Who would have guessed? We trade away the Brave Lance from Finn to Quan, and we retreat Lex and Ethlin now that we have no anti-turtling incentives left to rush for. The bargain band village goes boom, while Lewin aura farms with an adept proc on another bandit. Latches continues to farm XP by healing her knights, as we make a solid wall. Lewin avenges the bargain band, and Latches gets a level up, which only nets her HP. Beautiful. With how far away the enemies are, we take care to position ourselves very carefully, so that the boss suicides onto Quan's freshly acquired Brave Lance. And all three of Latches' knights make a suicide charge. Yeah, I forgot that they do that. They didn't die or anything, but did they really have to aggro the entire enemy force? Why are these three stooges so intent on dying whenever I want to actually get the Night Ring? We might as well mention while he's here, among the enemy forces is Beowulf, who is just most blatantly better than Noish, cause he actually has pursuit, as well as the chart skill. But sadly, being a good unit doesn't actually mean I get to use you this run, so I won't be getting too attached. I was gonna kill him, but I figured why don't I just recruit him and get a free sword, and so that's exactly what I did, as I retreated him to safety. Ethlin and Quan charged straight for the enemy, with the latter triggering a very unnecessary levels crit. And as I formed the perfect shield for Latches' knights, they ran out of safety again and decide to fully expose themselves to danger. These guys are literally those mentally challenged hot dogs from that one episode of Adventure Time. Yes, you know the one. That aside, a stray knight attacks Stu and gets mugged, and the Latches Suicide Squad fend for themselves pretty well, even against the boss himself. One of them does get low, but Ethlin's on the front line anyway, so we're chilling. I once again craft a wall using our units and the greenies, but I swear to god, I have short-term memory loss, as these guys, yet again, move out of formation and fully expose Deirdre to the enemy. Yeah, I don't know why I keep forgetting that I can't control these guys. An Armor Knight somehow survives a round of combat with Quan, and yet again, another green guy gets low. It's like I'm babysitting 3 suicidal toddlers with bomb vests strapped to their chests, which are basically regular toddlers. We break into the enemy forces to get a heal on the green paladin, and Deirdre kills an Armor Knight, which opens up a spot for Quan to kill the boss. And just like that, he gains a Paragon band that he didn't actually need. But hey, game is game. Despite a highly defenseless Deirdre being left out in the open, the entirety of the leftover enemy forces target the same green unit who we have been repeatedly healing several turns in a row, and he dies. And with him dying, so does any hope of getting the Night Ring. I guess I didn't really need it, but I'm still annoyed. Deirdre and co clean up the remaining Armor Knights, and Noish doesn't even manage to kill one with a crit. If you're wondering why the Noish contribution counter doesn't go up after every crit or charge Noish procs, it's because these procs happen in a low risk environment, so they never actually change or help us in any positive way. Dew gets a nice level from bullying and axe armor, and Lewin, who's been waddling all the way to the enemy castle, manages to trigger an adept proc and earns himself a level. And just as I celebrate, I realise I left Lewin in range of a bow armor while at lethal. And he survives. The dumb luck I possess is one of my few skills. Noish finally steals a kill, and Deirdre keeps gaming. And just like that, the only enemy left is the boss. But I like dragging things out, so I'll end the video here, and I'll see you later.